to the promised land.
The 60s were a time of change.
Police turned high-pressure fire hoses on the young people and set attack dogs on them.
Turmoil.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is signed at the White House by President Johnson.
Slow progress.
This man made a significant impact all around the world in just 12 short years.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Tragedy.
Colin Kaepernick's protest against racial injustice seems to be gaining traction.
And a moment reminiscent of Kaepernick.
Gentlemen, we'll just save a lot of time and a lot of breath because you are no longer on this football team.
Head football coach Lloyd Eaton of Wyoming.
And he told us that, well, I guess now you fellas can go on Negro relief or colored relief.
Mel Hamilton, one of 14 players, silenced for standing up to a rival university's racist policies and using their platform to bring awareness and in hopes of inspiring change. Their action? Wyoming's black players had proposed wearing black armbands in their home game against Brigham Young University.
Perhaps we could come up with a black armband. Maybe we can put a 14 on it because there were 14 of us. This issue had to do with black and white. This issue had to do with oppression.
A few wanted to protest the Mormon Church's dictum forbidding black members from becoming priests. But for most of them, including McGee, the beef was more personal. BYU's all-white squad had hurled racial slurs and cheap shots at black players during their game a year earlier.
It was how we were being treated as individuals, making someone second class.
Traveling to Provo, Utah the previous year, BYU players spit on him and took cheap shots at their knees. Refs and even his own coach had ignored his complaints about racist taunts. When Wyoming's black players walked back to the locker room after the game, someone turned on the field sprinklers, drenching them. And they made it clear.
If he did not like it, we would not wear them.
On the eve of the BYU game, the Black 14 were kicked off the team by Coach Eaton for their black armbands proposal to draw attention to the fact that the LDS Church did not allow black males to hold its priesthood.
Coach Eaton said, "I can save you gentlemen a lot of time and trouble."
You know, gentlemen, you're no longer Wyoming Cowboy.
Banished for a simple thought. The players said Coach Eaton used racial slurs and made derogatory comments about the players headed toward Negro relief when he told them they were no longer members of the team.
Do you think you may have been a little tough on these young men?
Well, it seems that this is the general feeling, John, but there has to be a reason behind every rule. There is no rule that's set up, of course, just for the sake of a rule.
Each time somebody tried to voice an opinion, he would say, "Shut up."
We know that demonstrations also can break down the unity of a ball club.
Then you mentioned Negro relief, you know. You're not going to use the legislature's money to demonstrate. If you want to carry on this kind of action, then you can go to the Morgan States and the Grambling.
A racist coach telling players to go to HBCUs because they're no longer welcome.
The players are suspended for the balance of this football season.
Even the governor weighed in. The harsh reality of the times were displayed by Laramie residents.
Protesters spoke out against Coach Eaton's ruling.
Neither the coach nor the blacks will back down.
The next week, fans displayed armbands of their own to show support for Coach Eaton.
After dismissing the Black 14, Wyoming won 2 straight, then lost their final 4. The following year, Wyoming went 1-9, its worst record since 1939. Black athletes, seeing their fellow man's mistreatment, shunned the university. Eaton was fired after the disastrous 1970 season. For most of the 14, Eaton's decision meant the end of their football lives. Years passed, and Eaton remained unchanged. If they were so serious about their grievance, why didn't they all go to the Mormon Church directly? They were biting the hand that feeds them. They slapped the state of Wyoming in the face. However, change was made. Just a year after the black players were kicked out of Wyoming, BYU recruited its first black player. In 1978, the church announced that a divine revelation had opened the Mormon priesthood to African Americans. They had wanted to show solidarity against racism at a time when civil rights protests were common on the nation's college campuses. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.